International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL and Agricultural Development Bank.
Coming up on International Trade Focus,
we shall take a look at reforms and initiatives introduced at Ghana's ports over the last few years with the aim of reducing the time and cost of doing business and making Ghana's ports even more efficient. And later, data released by the Bank of Ghana shows that total exports for the year 2020 declined by about $725 million from $15.6 billion in 2019 to $14.49 billion in 2020. Hi there, thanks for tuning in to another edition of International Trade Focus. On this week's episode, we shall take a look at some reforms and initiatives that have been introduced at the ports with the aim of reducing the cost and time of doing business. Talk of the Ghana National Single Window, talk of ICAMS, talk of the paperless port system, talk of e-payments, and so on and so forth. Are these reforms and initiatives living up to expectation? That's what we'll be taking a look at on this week's edition of International Trade Focus. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL, Good Energy, ADB, Truly, Agric, and more. Peduase Valley Resorts and Public Elegance provided me with my lovely outfit. My name is Anas Pio, and this is International Trade Focus.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect, and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Are you an importer or exporter? Do you need quick financing at the best rate on the market? ADB has good news for you. Walk into any agricultural development bank location nationwide for that solution to all your trade financing needs. ADB offers you pre-financing of exports and imports, post-shipment credit facilities, bank guarantees, the issuance and acceptance of letters of credit, documentary bills for collection, outward documentary collection. Enjoy free advisory services from our well-trained, dedicated trade officers. Exporters of agricultural products are encouraged to take advantage of this great service. For further enquiries, call us on 0302 210 210. ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, Truly Agric, and more. ADB.
Breathtaking picturesque views, the essence of tranquility recrafted. What's your desire? A romantic expedition, syndicate sessions, banquet and conferences, or a discreet weekend getaway? Just name it. It's exclusively packaged for you at Peduase Valley Resort. Every spacious rooms, ultra-modern gym facilities, games, indoors, terrace and lawn restaurants and lounges, cozy private dining, and all the swimmer's paradise. Aquaba, any day, all year round to Peduase Valley Resort. The acts of serenity, skillfully served.
You're watching International Trade Focus. Our focal point comes up next.
reforms initiated at the Tema Port are beginning to yield results. Recent data from the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, suggests that transit traffic at the country's port increased by some 13% to 1.5 million metric tons in 2020, at a time when global trade had dropped by some 7% due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Tema Port handles about 80% of container volume, hence a significant gateway to Ghana's global trade. This comes at a period where Ghana is investing in improving the efficiency at the port through the digitization of port procedures and payment, as well as infrastructure investment by the Meridian Port Services MPS Limited. As far back as January 2020, the Managing Director of GPHA, Mr. Michael Lukuje, projected increases in cargo volumes for 2020 following the positioning of the Tema Port as a transshipment hub to enable Ghana's ports to serve as an incentive for facilitating intra-African trade. Reforms like the paperless system, the Ghana Single Window Project, and the recent implementation of the e-payments platform are all helping to improve overhead costs and the way business is transacted at the port. Now, Tema Port boasts of being one of the best in West and Central Africa in terms of port infrastructure. Our focal point highlights the technology reforms, infrastructure investment, and their impact on doing business at the port. But first, let's talk about technology. Attempts to digitize processes at the port dates back as far as 2003. Back then, GCNet was introduced to automate the clearing process at the port. Even back then, clearing agents still had to present hard copy documents to verify their claims to their cargoes. But in 2017, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, led a digitization effort with the paperless port system. The policy was aimed at transforming Ghana's port into a smart port, the goal to improve trade transactions at the country's ports.
We are moving away from a system of applying unnecessary, complex and expensive procedures at the port to a system which meets international standards. The port, or our ports, are our national assets. We need value for money, and we are going to insist on it. On May 17th this year, I announced 3 measures to take effect from 1st of September, God willing. These were the removal of customs barriers within the country, mandatory joint inspections, and a paperless port. To achieve these 3 targets by September 1st, we worked closely with the stakeholders with the aim of automating and streamlining the services they provide while avoiding duplication of efforts. To achieve our short and medium-term goals of port efficiency, we sought the opinions of independent third parties with international experience to conduct a gap analysis and recommend solutions. Dubai Customs are collaborating with Ghana Customs to conduct a gap analysis with the aim of raising our customs service delivery to a world-class one. We expect the cooperation of all stakeholders to ensure port efficiency. All of you have been engaged and must aim to do your part to make our port paperless. We will not really accept any excuses. Agencies or service providers who are really not ready to go paperless by September 1st will not be allocated any cargo. On the removal of internal customs barriers, these barriers will be redundant in the long term with the introduction of the first port rule in Ghana. Duties will be paid on goods destined for re-export, and with the new automated gate opening system at the port, which will be linked to the risk engine. So we will be able to make sure in this context that no vehicle will be able to leave the port without paying their duty. We will also push for the introduction of intelligent 3D scanners, and this would be an improvement over the 2D scanners we currently have. On mandatory joint inspections from 1st of September this year, we are not going to physically open and inspect all containers. We are introducing a risk engine, as I said, which will assign risk levels to importers based on their level of compliance. When the need arises for inspections, the agencies needed for inspections will be informed about the inspection time and place for joint inspections, and they will have to sign in on an electronic device at the inspection shed to confirm their participation. Now, ongoing paperless at the port. With the help and cooperation of all the stakeholders at the port, and I have to thank all of you, we have mapped out a process flow which will take effect from 1st September 2017. Agencies and stakeholders presented paperless process flows which we have merged into a process flow that will enable compliant importers to really sit in the comfort of their offices or homes and get customs clearance. Terminals which are not ready for automation by 1st September will be left behind, and people who do not comply will be sanctioned.
The paperless system was also to reduce human errors in contacts from all trading transactions. It has for the most part been successful. Although it was initially confronted with some challenges, the attempt to migrate from GCnet West Blue paperless port to the Integrated Customs Management Systems, ICUMS, has taken effect. Revenue from the port increased substantially in the process. The Ghana Revenue Authority reported in December 2020 that ICUMS generated 10 billion cedis from June to December of 2020 despite the COVID-19 pandemic. This consisted of 7.6 billion cedis from import duty and export of goods. It was all part of government's effort to operate a single window system at the ports, where all activities and transactions can be done on one portal. Eventually, there's been some effort towards that. The ICUMS system has deployed an online portal for clearing goods. Incidentally, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority created an e-payment platform to augment the process as part of effort to increase automation at the port. Now clients can do transactions via mobile money, Visa and MasterCard. Clients can also validate invoices as well as calculate port charges through this platform. All these take care of the technology reforms that the port has seen in recent times. This brings us to the other reforms, that is infrastructure and capacity building. In 2020, a $1 billion investment in the port was completed. The MPS Terminal 3 Limited is a joint venture between the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority with 30% ownership, APM Terminals with 35%, and Bolo Transport and Logistics with 35%. Investment in modern equipment such as Super 7 Post Panamax ship to shore gantry cranes and 20 rubber tie gantry cranes helped the port to be capable of handling 2 million 20-foot equivalent unit TEU per year. The Meridian Port Services Terminal 3 at the Tema Port completed 3 of its 4 berths with a 16 meters draft and 1,400 meters quay length, making it possible to cater for the largest vessels carrying 20-foot equivalent unit and beyond. In addition to the terminal, investment in modern equipment such as 7 Superpost Panamax ship-to-shore gantry cranes. With these and many other investments, the MPS Terminal 3 has become the backbone of the maritime service between Africa and South America. As far as improvement in the way of doing business at the port is concerned, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asaki, shares his testimony in an interview with International Trade Focus.
Ghana Port and Harbour Authority has a contract with MPS, and because MPS has reinvested, has invested heavily, has expanded our port, and that's what I tell you, where they used to take like 1 week or more to discharge one shipping line, now as we speak, we take only 3 days or 2 days, 3 days maximum, 2 days minimum to discharge you. So the turnaround time, it makes you save more money.
The Tema Port is in the process of transformation to become the gateway to landlocked countries in West Africa. General Manager in charge of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at GPHA, Mrs. Esther Jebidonko, disclosed that the ability of infrastructure, strategic geographic location, flexible port charges, top-notch security, labor efficiency, and deliberate policy direction has made the Port of Ghana attractive to its clients. With the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Tema Port will take on more trade facilitation roles. Removing the bottlenecks at the country's seaport is necessary to achieve the goals of becoming the trade and investment hub Ghana wishes to be.
Stay tuned for our in-depth segment. A warm welcome back. You're still watching International Trade, and this is our in-depth segment. Now, new data from the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority suggests that although COVID-19 took a negative toll on global trade, the country's seaports saw an increase in transit traffic by about 13%. Now, we're going to take a look at some reforms and initiatives that have been introduced at the ports and how they've made the ports more effective. Our guest for today is the General Manager of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Mrs. Esther Jebidonko. She will be discussing this and many more with us. Thank you very much, Madam. This has been an ambush, but, but we sincerely apologize and thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
So,
it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. So let's delve straight into the first question. Now, we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a negative toll on trade, and international trade has not been an exception. But here's the case that the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for the year 2020 recorded transit traffic of 1.5 million metric tons. How was this achieved?
Thank you very much. Yes, you said it right, that the COVID-19 was all over the place. It affected international trade, and it's expected to have a toll on the traffic that comes through the port. But fortunately for us, we recorded an increase in fact, all the areas of our traffic, including transit. And I would like to say that when it comes to the ports globally, the ports were not closed because we offer essential services. The ports were not closed as other areas of the economy was closed. Our seaports was open whilst the airports were closed for some time. And so we were still handling cargo. And so the landlocked countries who bring the transit cargo through our ports were also still importing and exporting, even though all these importing and exporting will be affected. And we were also fortunate to have our government opening the borders for traffic to flow. Cargo was able to go. It is the human beings that cannot go through the borders. So that helped us to continue to handle cargo in the port. But let me mention that we are seeing this growth as a result of the infrastructure developments that we have done in our ports, and then also the quality service that we're giving to our clients that are coming from the landlocked countries, and then also our pricing system, the pricing system that we have in the ports for comparing it to our competitors in the sub-region, actually. When you take the infrastructure, we have developed a bulk jetty here in the port of Tema. And we have also improved upon the equipment that we have in the port to handle their cargo. And when you take the container cargo, containerized cargo, we now have MPS Terminal 3 with all the modern equipment that you can think of globally. And so that is increasing the transit containers for the Tema port. And so all these put together in terms of infrastructure is actually helping us to be able to grow our transit trade. We, as I mentioned, we also have a very good customer service system where we have a number of other stakeholders also working with Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to try and make sure that when our transitors come in and they have issues, we are able to resolve them. Yes. So Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Shippers Authority are also there. We normally go on trade missions to their countries. Until the COVID, we even 2019 October, we went for one. So we can interact with them, get to know their issues and what we can do better for them. And so you have Custom, GPHA, Shippers Authority, Customs, the police, and all other freight forwarders join us sometimes. And then some private operators who are working in our port join us to go on such trade missions. That is also helping. Above all, the security of our waters and then our safety of their cargo is also another key reason why our transitors continue to use our port, and we are seeing the kind of growth that we are seeing. They are very much concerned about the safety of their cargo, and so among the sub-regional ports, we have the best of security in our ports, and so that is one of the major reasons why they always feel comfortable to send their cargo through our port. So for some years now, we are steadily growing the transit cargo. So irrespective of COVID, they still were able to bring their cargo through our port, and hence the growth. Yes.
Right. You mentioned pricing too. How did that play a role?
Yes, price. We are just undertaking a study, and we realize that when it comes to receipts and delivery, where we are looking at clearance, the port charges is the lowest in the sub-region. Tema Ports charges is the lowest in the sub-region. Yes, and we are also, and they visit all these sub-regions, so they are able to compare. And then we have also strategized to give discounts, some kind of discounts to our transitors, depending on the quantum of cargo they are bringing through our port.
Is this something that's always done, or we had to adapt to this strategy because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
No, it wasn't. It was a competitive strategy. It wasn't because of the COVID-19. What we did during the COVID-19 is to give some rent-free period, waive rent, because it became difficult at a certain point because of the what do we call it? The March. What's the word?
The lockdown?
The lockdowns, yes. The March lockdown, a number of them were not able to come to the port as expected to clear their cargo. So we waived the rent for that period. Yes, but this strategy, pricing strategy I'm talking about, is a general thing we adapted to attract more of the transit cargo to our ports.
Since 2017, we've observed some digitization going on at the ports. We can talk of the single window program, we can talk of the paperless port structure. How would you say that these programs or initiatives or reforms have impacted activities at the port?
So yes, you said it right. The digitization at the ports have provided a positive results for us, and we are happy that all the various stakeholders in the port are taking it seriously, and everybody is involved, and we are all trying to work on it to achieve the objective for it. In fact, this crusade, as you are aware, was led by the Vice President in 2017, and then we started the first phase with the paperless project, where we try to minimize manual processes and to be able to level on technology, integrate various systems and make sure that we reduce the time of clearing in the port. And so all the institutions got involved. GPHA, for example, we made sure that we provided a system that can integrate with the customs system that is used for clearance. At the time, we had GCNet and WestBlue. And so we were able to integrate with them, pick information that was necessary from there to be able to invoice our customers and also to schedule the day they can come for their cargo upon day making requests and paying for the service. And so it went well. Other institutions, the freight forwarders and all the other institutions were able to integrate to this system. And then we were successful with the implementation. A lot of the manual, paper carrying along the chain was actually eliminated. And we moved on. All the institutions moved on. We have to look at the payment system, where in the past you take Ports and Harbours Authority end and the shipping lines end and all of that. People will have to go and queue to pay for the service before they can have their cargo in the customs area. So customs took the lead. Now you can pay in a number of banks and it can be e-payments. So you don't need to come to the premises to pay. GPHA, we've also done the same. You are able to, we have for now identified 2 banks, Ecobank and ADB. You can pay in any of their branches. Now we are moving to the e-payments where you can even pay by Momo. You can pay by your Visa card, your MasterCard, and then you don't need to come to our revenue center to make payments. And these are some of the things that we've done. And I think that another stage that has also improved the whole process in the port is the coming on board of ICOMs that have integrated the 2 systems. We used to have the WestBlue and the GCNet, and part of the clearing process will be done in WestBlue system, part will be done in GCNet system. But whilst we were working towards a single window, there's now the ICOM systems, the integrated customs system, where everybody starts the process from. And so the data from A to Z is in that same system. So at any point in time, if it is the inspection companies that want a report or whatever, everybody can go in there. As you've been given access to, you can access the information. So it has reduced a lot of these personal contacts where people are thinking of, okay, the more you interface with the individual, the more corruption can be bred. And then the delays, of course, the delays that you have to walk from one end to the other to transact the business from shipping line to GPHA to customs, long room, and all of those things have all been minimized to the level to which we are now benefiting from the gains of digitization.
Right, if you just tuned in, you're watching International Trade Focus. We're taking a look at some port reforms and initiatives with Madam Esther Jebidonko. The conversation continues after this break.
Breathtaking picturesque views, the essence of tranquility recrafted. What's your desire? A romantic expedition, syndicate sessions, banquet and conferences, or a discreet weekend getaway? Just name it. It's exclusively packaged for you at Peduasi Valley Resort. Every spacious rooms, ultra-modern gym facilities, games, indoors, terrace and lawn restaurants and lounges, cozy private dining, and all the swimmer's paradise. Aquaba, any day, all year round. to Peduasi Valley Resort, the acts of serenity skillfully served.
A warm welcome back. On our in-depth segment today, we're taking a look at some port reforms and initiatives that have been introduced to ensure that the port works effectively. We are taking a look at this with Madam Esther Chibidonko. Taking a look at reducing the cost or the time, particularly the time of doing business at the port. So on a typical day, how many days would one spend to clear a container?
Well, if you want to look at the process from declaring and then coming through, some are able to do it on the same day. Others do it 2 days. Some do it within hours. It all depends on the client ready to make payments and all those things, the time they've made the payment and made request to the terminal to pick the cargo and all of that. And there's, especially if you take MPS terminal, for example, they are doing 24 hours. So you can pay in the day, and in the night you can pick your container. So that has really improved.
That's impressive, comparing to some weeks in the past.
Well, we're talking about 5 days and a week sometimes, depending on the cargo time. Yes. Right.
That's impressive. So in the same space, we know that there have been some investments to increase the capacity of our ports. I mean, our checks indicate that gone were the days when ships spend weeks to offload here. Now we learned it's just a matter of days, and they're gone.
Yes, like I mentioned earlier on, we have invested in equipment, modern equipments, and I want to make reference to MPS, for example, and we have the gantries that you can think of to handle any of these big vessels with a lot of TEUs that come in. And all these vessels come in now, big vessels with a lot of TEUs come in, and within 2 days they are done and they are gone. And that is where you are comparing to those days. They are coming in 4 days before they can offload and load, export if there's any, and leave the port. And this is an improvement for us, and we know we are going to even improve it better.
Right. Let's take a look at exporting products from Ghana too. How is that also going? Is it better than it was in the past?
Yes, the exports are improving gradually. They are improving gradually, but of course, if we compare it to imports, we expect to do better than we are doing, because that will give the economy some balance, in foreign exchange and all of that. But we are not doing badly. Export has also increased in recent times, and I think that GEPA is also doing well to ensure that our exporters are bringing more through the ports, because we need it.
And there have been general concerns among some members of the import and export sector. They're talking about the shipping charges, unregulated shipping charges. Do you think this is a legitimate concern?
Yes, I think that they have legitimate concerns that we should all be interested in, and that is that in shipping, I would, because we will not have time to go into the details, I just want to mention that in shipping, we have some of the charges that would have to go into freight, and be negotiated at the port of loading with the shipping line. And then we have some that because we have the shipping agents here finishing what has to be done before cargo is released to the owner here in Ghana. There are some charges we call the local charges that should be handled here. And normally there is Shippers Authority that has mandate to negotiate the local charges with the shipping lines. And then as far as the other one is concerned, is freight. So the importer have, but what we are seeing is that some charges that you expect to be in the freight is being charged here. And then the line will tell you, oh, this is a liner charge. And so it is our principals who would have to deal with it. We don't know anything about it. They have just asked us to charge it here. But then if it cannot be negotiated here, because your principals are the one introducing it, why should it be charged here? It should be some agreement between the individual importer and the line. If you charge me there and I say I don't have money there, so I will come and pay it here, it's a different thing. But if you do the omnibus thing and say that every importer would have to pay that kind of charge here in Ghana, meanwhile, it's a liner thing, so it's your principals who have actually come up with the amount. It is not fair. So that is where they are coming from. That, okay, let us know the full complement of our freight whilst we are there, so that if there is any competitive edge for one line over the other, we'll be able to do our take our decision and select whichever is cheaper for us. Don't let us come in with the cargo, and the cargo is already at the port, and you are telling us that we have to pay so much, which was supposed to be part of the freight.
Right. So we are about wrapping up, but briefly, the trading under the Continental Free Trade Agreement has begun. How is the Ghana Ports Authority positioning itself to ensure that the country is able to harness the full benefits of the Continental Free Trade?
Of course, we are a key stakeholder in this whole AFTA process, and we are ever ready. In fact, we are ready because we have already actually improved upon the facilities that we have. Like I said, the infrastructure, superstructure, we have actually invested a lot to open up our port. We are ready to handle more cargo. Our capacities have increased, so we are ready for it. Even beyond that, we are also part of the National Trade Facilitation Committee. And so we are in there also helping for us to look at the policies in there that affects trade facilitation and transit and all those things that we are stakeholders of, to try and relook at it and interpret it and be able to put it together for our operation. For example, if you take the Annex 4, which is talking about trade facilitation, we are looking at it. What is there that we have all agreed with them to do, that we have to pick as part of our port processes and procedures, so that they don't come in and say that, okay, we all agreed to do this. And so we are looking at it to refine, come up with a new SOP, standard operating procedure for our processes and procedures. The Annex 8 is also talking about transit trade. So yes, transit, and it's one of the areas we handle, and we are using that to grow our ports. So we are interested as a port authority. We are looking at the transit Annex 8 to ensure that what is enshrined there is exactly what we'll be implementing, so that we are on the same page with what the requirements of AFTA is and we are working with all the stakeholders. Once we are fine, we will then sensitize the stakeholders on what we should all be doing. So far, that's what we've been trying to do.
Okay, and your final words before we go.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that Yes, the port environment is a very complex area because we have a lot of stakeholders operating in the ports, and everybody has one law or the other that we are all operating with. But we are doing our best to cooperate and give the best of service to our importers, exporters, transitors, and the shipping lines who use our ports. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, we are doing our best, and we just hope that it will be appreciated and every other person will play the role that needs to move our ports forward, because we all know that it really affects the trade of the country.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Esther Jevidonko. So Mrs. Esther Jevidonko is the General Manager of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and she was our guest for today. We took a look at some reforms, initiatives that have been introduced at the port to ensure that the port is more effective or efficient in its operations. We'll be right back.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
The government has swooped in to curb the devastation caused by activities of illegal mining in the country. The illegal exploration of gold in water bodies and abandoned mine sites, popularly known as Galamsey, has led to the degradation of lands and water bodies in the mining areas. Because of this, government has deployed some military personnel to police the water bodies from pollution by this mining. Small-scale miners contribute about 15 to 20% of total gold production in the country. When successful, Ghana would have taken action to achieve Sustainable Development Goals 6, 13, and 15. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abu Jinapor, in a press statement issued a notice of ban on all activities relating to mining in forest reserve. He has also directed the Forestry Commission to cease the issuance of permits for prospecting, recognizance and exploration of mineral resources in forest reserves.
There are two critical areas of the fight or of our national life which require special attention, which are our water bodies and forest reserves. Let's face it, when Ghanaians are up in arms and outraged about illegal small-scale mining, fundamentally, they are talking about the water bodies of our country, the state of our water bodies. They are talking about our forest reserves. The illegal small-scale mining which takes place everywhere else is important, and we are going to deal with that. And in fact, we are dealing with that. But the water bodies and forest reserves, we came to the well-reasoned conclusion that those are high priorities. And so measures were put in place. The first measure we took was to direct the Forestry Commission to cease the issuance of forest entry permits for purposes of mining. For those who are familiar with the processes leading to actual legal mining in forest reserves, having secured all your permits from the Minerals Commission, the EPA, and so on and so forth, you require a forest entry permit in order to mine in a forest reserve. If you are going to mine at a place which is not a forest reserve, you don't require a forest entry permit. But if it's a place which is designated as forest reserve, you have to go to the Forestry Commission for a permit in order to be able to mine. So we'll put a freeze on that, which means there cannot be further mining in forest reserves. I have to clarify that. For the enterprises or operations or companies who have already acquired mining licenses or mining leases and gotten forest entry permits and are mining and following the protocols, the environmental protocols, they have what we call accrued rights. So this instruction will not take a retroactive effect. So it will not affect them. And there are a good number of responsible large-scale, small-scale mining schemes going on in forest reserves with the right permit. But in the future, no more forest entry permits. 2, we also observed that people come up to apply for prospecting, recognizance, and/or exploration licenses. And again, those who are familiar with the mining industry, those kinds of licenses are for you to go and check whether or not the concession is mineralized, whether or not you can find minerals in the concession. If you find minerals, you then will come back to the Minerals Commission to go through the processes all the way to get a mineral operating permit and a forest entry permit before you can mine. But we observe that people come, they get the license for prospecting, and then they move straight away to mine. And when they are confronted, they pull a piece of paper which says, I have a license, which is a prospecting license, or a recognizance license. In some cases, they've just put in the application. The Minerals Commission is evaluating the application, then they proceed to mine. So we've suspended all prospecting, recognizance, and/or exploration in forest reserves in our country. Whether you have license or you do not have license, or your application for a license is pending, no more prospecting in forest reserves, no more recognizance in forest reserves, no more exploration. So that has also been done. The water bodies, the Water Resources Commission Act, the Minerals and Mining Act 208, Act 703, the guidelines which emanated from that and all of that, prescribes clearly that mining cannot take place 100 meters away from the bounds of a river body. So that is clear. So it's a law. And we had a bit of a discussion in the ministry as to whether or not the communique we issued should state that people cannot mine in our river bodies. But it was unnecessary because it's already outlawed. And so where we are, forest reserves and water bodies, the president has declared those red zones. So for government and for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, forest reserves, water bodies, red zones. And that is why the Ghana Armed Forces are moving in the manner that they are.
Meanwhile, over 200 military personnel have been deployed to enforce the ban on illegal mining operations in water bodies and forest reserves. Minister for Defense, Honorable Dominic Nitiwul, stressed that the action will be carried out in all Galamsey endemic regions in the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, this operation will be conducted on all major river and forest reserves in all Galamsey endemic regions. Let me repeat. It will be conducted in all river bodies, the major river bodies and forest reserves in all Galamsey endemic regions throughout the country to rid them of illegal mining activities. And take note of what I'm just going to say. There will be aerial patrols where GAF has already swept past. Armed men will be authorized to take action, immediate action, on anyone who returns to these river bodies as the patrol goes by air.
Last quarter data released by the Bank of Ghana shows that exports increased marginally in the fourth quarter of 2020 to offset declines in the second and third quarter of last year. However, total exports for the year declined by $725 million from $15.6 billion in 2019 to $14.47 billion in 2020. This could largely be attributed to the global health crisis recorded in 2020 and the collapse of oil prices in the second and third quarter. According to the data, total exports for the first quarter of 2020 stood at $3.9 billion but declined to $3.5 billion in the second quarter and further down to $3.4 billion in the third quarter. Exports meanwhile recovered in the fourth quarter to $3.6 billion, closing the year. Under this distribution, gold export closed the year at $6.7 billion after it recorded $1.7 billion in the last quarter. The country also exported $2.7 billion worth of cocoa beans and products in the same year. Crude oil exports, however, declined relative to the collapse of global fuel prices in 2020. Total exports of crude stood at $2.9 billion in 2020 after it recorded about $4.5 billion in the previous year.
Here are some basic protective measures against COVID-19, popularly known as the coronavirus disease. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or alcohol-based rub. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Stay informed. Follow advice from your healthcare provider. Symptoms of coronavirus include fever, a runny nose, cough, sore throat, possibly a headache. Should you or anyone you know begin to exhibit the symptoms of COVID-19, do not go to the hospital but call emergency number 112.
Are you an importer or exporter? Do you need quick financing at the best rate on the market? ADB has good news for you. Walk into any agricultural development bank location nationwide for that solution to all your trade financing needs. ADB offers you pre-financing of exports and imports, post-shipment credit facilities, bank guarantees, the issuance and acceptance of letters of credit, documentary bills for collection, outward documentary collection. Enjoy free advisory services from our well-trained, dedicated trade officers. Exporters of agricultural products are encouraged to take advantage of this great service. For further enquiries, call us on 0302 210 210. ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, truly agric and more.
And it's a wrap for today's edition of International Trade Focus. Join us same time next week for some more on international trade-related activities here in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOL, Good Energy, ADB, Truly, Agric and more, and Pediasy Valley Resort. My name is Anna Spio. Join us same time next week. Bye-bye.